are calling a brilliant kung fu masterpiece.
You think you know kung fu movies. Fast cuts, wire work, impossible flips that defy physics. But real martial artists, they see through it all. The fake stances, the telegraphed moves, the choreography that would get you killed in a real fight. And when they find a film that gets it right, authentic techniques, proper form, combat that could actually work, they don't forget. These are the 12 kung fu movies that earned their respect. Not because they looked flashy, because they were real, and buried in the chaos, a broken ankle that changed action cinema forever. No wires attached. Let's go. Number 1. The Legend of Drunken Master didn't just look authentic, it hurt to make. Every frame, every fall, every impact was real. Jackie Chan returned to the role that made him famous decades earlier, playing Wong Fei-hung, a legendary martial artist who uses drunken boxing, a real fighting style that mimics the unpredictable, off-balance movements of someone intoxicated. But here's what separated this from every other kung fu comedy ever made. Chan insisted on shooting the climactic final fight sequence under a working steel mill, with real fire blazing, actual heat radiating from industrial furnaces, and zero safety protocols in place. The temperature inside soared past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The air was thick, suffocating, barely breathable. His costume caught fire multiple times during takes. Crew members had to rush in with extinguishers between shots. And halfway through filming this grueling sequence, disaster struck. Chan broke his ankle, not a minor fracture, not a hairline crack. A complete break that shattered bone. Doctors examined the x-rays, shook their heads, and told him to stop immediately. 6 weeks minimum recovery, they said. Chan refused to listen. He had the ankle wrapped tightly in support bandages, numbed it with painkillers and ice, and kept fighting because the sequence demanded absolute commitment. Real martial artists point to this film not for the comedy elements, but for the incredible footwork on display. Drunken boxing requires immense balance, extraordinary core strength, and perfect timing to execute properly. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and you're flat on the ground, unable to continue. Chan performed every single move with a broken ankle, and if you watch carefully, you can see it in the performance. The subtle weight shifts to favor his good leg, the controlled falls that protect the injury, the way he uses momentum and redirection instead of raw power to generate force. It's not movie magic or camera tricks. It's pure survival instinct combined with decades of training. And that's exactly why when serious fighters watch this film, they don't laugh at the drunk act or dismiss it as comedy. They study the mechanics underneath the performance, the genuine technique hidden inside the stumbling, the real martial arts principles that make drunken boxing devastatingly effective, despite looking completely ridiculous. Because Jackie Chan didn't fake any of it for the cameras. He bled it, he suffered through it, he sacrificed his body to make it authentic. And you can feel that commitment radiating from every painful second of footage. This wasn't just another martial arts comedy. It was a masterclass in dedication, proving that sometimes the most authentic performances come from the most brutal circumstances.
No more drinking!
Number 2. Enter the Dragon wasn't just Bruce Lee's breakout. It was a revolution in how fights were filmed. Before this, kung fu movies relied on wide shots and obvious choreography. You could see the actors waiting for their cue, pulling punches, dancing through sequences. Lee refused. He told director Robert Klaus, "If you can see me setting up the move, cut it. If it doesn't look like I'm trying to kill someone, reshoot it." So they did, over and over. The opening fight with Sammo Hung, that wasn't rehearsed for weeks. It was mapped out in 20 minutes, then filmed in real time with full contact. Lee hit Hung so hard during one take that Hung's jaw swelled up. They kept the shot. In the mirror room finale, those weren't stunt doubles. Lee fought his way through 8,000 square feet of mirrors with real glass, real reflections, real danger. One wrong angle and the whole illusion collapses. But Lee moved like water. Every punch had intention. Every block had purpose. Real martial artists say this is the gold standard because Lee didn't choreograph for the camera. he choreographed for combat. And when modern fighters break down the film frame by frame, they find something shocking. Almost every technique he uses, the trapping hands, the side kicks, the one-inch punches, they all work. In a real fight, against a real opponent, Lee didn't invent movie kung fu. He brought real kung fu to the movies, and nobody's matched it since. Number 3. Most people don't even know The Prodigal Son exists. It never got a major theatrical release in the West, never became a midnight movie cult classic, never found its audience outside of hardcore martial arts circles. But martial artists, especially Wing Chun practitioners, they call it the most accurate kung fu film ever made. Period. No debate. It was 1981, and Sammo Hung wasn't interested in fantasy anymore. He'd done the wire work, the impossible flips, the gravity-defying aerial combat that audiences loved. He was done with that. He wanted to show real Wing Chun, the fighting style Bruce Lee trained in before abandoning traditional forms to create Jeet Kune Do. No wires, no flips, no theatrical nonsense. Just close-range combat, lightning-fast trapping, and brutal economy of motion. Hung cast Yuan Biao, a real martial artist who'd trained in the Peking Opera School since childhood, alongside Jackie Chan and Sammo himself. And he brought in actual Wing Chun masters to choreograph every single sequence. They didn't want it to look cool for audiences. They wanted it to look right for practitioners. And here's the massive problem they faced immediately. Real Wing Chun is subtle, dangerously subtle. Small movements, tight centerline control, techniques that don't read well on camera at normal speed. There's no big wind-up, no telegraphed strikes, no dramatic stances. Most directors would have taken one look and abandoned the whole concept. Hung leaned in harder. He slowed down the frame rate strategically, used tighter close-up shots, let the camera linger on hand positions and footwork. He made the audience see what fighters see. And when Biao fights the opera performer in the film's centerpiece sequence, you're not watching entertainment, you're watching an actual lesson in Wing Chun principles. Perfect weight distribution, sticky hands that feel the opponent's intention, simultaneous attack and defense that violates every rule of traditional filmmaking. It's not exciting in the way a flying kick is exciting. There's no spectacle. It's exciting because it's deadly efficient, and anyone with training recognizes that instantly. After the film released quietly in Hong Kong, Wing Chun schools across Asia reported a massive surge in enrollment, not because of marketing hype or celebrity endorsements. Because people watched and realized with sudden clarity that would actually work in a real fight. Hung later said he made the film for 2 specific reasons: to honor his teachers who'd preserved these techniques for generations, and to prove Kung Fu didn't need wires to fly. 30 years later, when Ip Man became a global phenomenon and Wing Chun exploded worldwide, every single fight coordinator studied The Prodigal Son first. They had to. Because if you want to show Wing Chun on screen properly, this is the definitive blueprint: real, raw, and respectfully honest to the art. Number 4. Fist of Legend is what happens when a martial artist gets tired of faking it. Jet Li had spent a decade doing wuxia films, flying through the air, defying gravity, entertaining millions. But in 1994, he wanted to do something different. He wanted to fight like he actually fought. So he partnered with action director Yuan Wu-ping and said, "No wires unless it's a jump. No undercranking to speed up the action. And every technique has to be something I could do in a real match." Wu-ping thought he was crazy. Lee didn't care. The film was a remake of Fist of Fury, Bruce Lee's revenge classic. But where Lee's version was raw and furious, Lee's was technical and surgical. In the dojo fight scene, Lee faces off against a Japanese karate master, and it's one of the most studied sequences in martial arts cinema. Why? Because it's an actual style versus style breakdown. Lee uses Chinese martial arts, rapid combinations, circular movements, adaptability. His opponent uses karate, linear strikes, solid stances, power. And the fight shows the strengths and weaknesses of both. When Lee wins, it's not because Chinese martial arts are superior. It's because his character adapted faster. Real martial artists love this because it respects both systems. Lee trained for months to make sure every movement was grounded, Every counter made sense. Every strike had a realistic follow-through. The result is a film where the action doesn't look like a dance. It looks like a fight. Two trained fighters trying to hurt each other. No flash, just speed, timing, and technique. After Fist of Legend, action directors started studying mixed martial arts principles. Because Jet Li proved you could make authentic combat look cinematic, you just had to care more about truth than spectacle.
Critics are calling a brilliant kung fu masterpiece.
Number 5. When Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon hit theaters in 2000, some martial artists rolled their eyes. Wire work, fantasy, people running on water. But then they watched closer. Ang Lee didn't just hire Yuan Wuping to choreograph. He told him, "Make the physics impossible, but make the technique real." And that's the secret. Every flying leap in Crouching Tiger is grounded in actual wushu forms. Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Ziyi trained for months, not just in wire work, but in authentic weapon techniques. The sword fight in the bamboo forest, those aren't props. Those are real Jian swords, flexible, light, designed for speed. Yeoh and Ziyi performed that entire sequence 30 feet in the air with minimal safety equipment. One slip and it's over. But more than the danger, it's the detail. Watch how they hold the swords. Real martial artists point out the grip, the angle, the way they use the whole weapon, not just the blade. In traditional Chinese swordplay, the guard and pommel are weapons too. Crouching Tiger shows that. It also shows something most films ignore: exhaustion. Halfway through the bamboo fight, you can see Yeoh breathing hard, adjusting her stance, conserving energy. It's subtle, but it's there. Because Ang Lee understood that even in a fantasy, the body has limits. The film won 4 Oscars, broke box office records, and introduced wushu to the world. But for martial artists, it did something more important. It proved that authenticity and artistry aren't enemies. You can soar through the air and still honor the form, as long as you respect what's underneath the wire. Number 6. Most kung fu movies have one great fight. The Raid has 15, and every single one could happen. Director Gareth Evans didn't want fantasy. He wanted Indonesian pencak silat, a brutal, close-quarters combat system designed for real violence. So he cast Iko Uwais, a legitimate silat practitioner who'd been training since he was 10, and told him, "Teach me how you'd really fight in an apartment building." Uwais didn't hold back. The result is the most exhausting action film ever made. No wires, no CGI, just bodies breaking against concrete. In the hallway fight, Uwais takes on waves of attackers using techniques straight from silat: elbow strikes to the throat, knee destructions, joint locks that snap on impact. It's not elegant. It's efficient. And it's terrifying because you know it's real. The actors trained for 6 months, learning to fall, learning to take hits, learning to move in tight spaces where one wrong step means a broken rib. They filmed in an actual abandoned building in Jakarta. Narrow corridors, low ceilings, no room for movie magic. And when the final fight happens, Uwais versus Mad Dog, in a confined room, real martial artists call it the most accurate representation of what a real fight looks like. It's not a dance, it's chaos. Both fighters are exhausted, bleeding, desperate. They're not throwing fancy combinations, they're surviving. The Raid didn't change kung fu movies, it changed action cinema. Because Gareth Evans proved you don't need a $100 million budget to make people believe. You just need real fighters, real techniques, and the guts to film it without cutting away. Number 7. Ip Man did something impossible. It made Wing Chun sexy. For decades, Wing Chun was seen as the boring kung fu, the style without kicks, without flash, just punches and footwork. Then Donnie Yen showed up. And real Wing Chun masters, they didn't just approve, they celebrated. Because Yen didn't fake it. He spent 2 years training under Ip Chun, the real Ip Man's son, learning not just the movements, but the philosophy. Wing Chun isn't about looking good, it's about ending fights fast. And when Yen faces 10 Japanese karate fighters in that iconic dojo scene, every technique is textbook. The chain punches aren't thrown wildly. They're controlled, targeted, each one setting up the next. His footwork isn't flashy. It's geometrically precise, cutting angles, controlling center line. Real martial artists freeze frame that fight and use it in classes, because it's not Donnie Yen showing off. It's Ip Man's actual system, translated perfectly to screen. The film's action choreographer, Sammo Hung, insisted on one rule. If Ip Chun says it's wrong, we reshoot. They reshooted constantly. The table fight, where Yen defends himself using only a small round table, took 3 days to film 1 minute of footage. Because Hung wanted every block, every redirect, every counter to reflect real Wing Chun principles. No wasted motion, no Hollywood flourishes, just practical combat. And when the film exploded globally, Wing Chun schools worldwide couldn't keep up with demand. But here's what real practitioners love most. The film shows Ip Man's weaknesses too. He's not invincible. He gets tired. He takes hits. His style has limitations. And that honesty, that respect for reality, that's what makes it authentic. Because Kung Fu isn't magic. It's training, discipline, and physics. And Ip Man got that right. Number 8. Nobody expected Ong Bak to change anything. It was a low-budget Thai film with an unknown lead and 0 special effects. No studio backing, no major distribution, just a crazy idea and a camera. Then Tony Jaa did a backflip over a car, through a pane of glass, without any wires, and the world stopped. Frame by frame, people watched it, searching for the trick, the hidden cable, the CGI enhancement. There was none. Just a man defying physics, with nothing but training and insane commitment. But what makes Ong Bak legendary to real martial artists isn't the stunts, it's the Muay Thai. For the first time, a film showed authentic Thai boxing, not the sanitized kickboxing version Hollywood loved, but real Muay Thai, the art of 8 limbs. Elbows designed to split skin open, knees that collapse ribs on impact, clinch fighting that looks ugly and desperate but works in ways fancy kicks never will. Jaa trained in Muay Thai since childhood in rural Thailand, learning from monks, training in temples, absorbing the culture and philosophy alongside the violence. And director Prakya Pinkai made one promise before cameras rolled. We show it real or we don't show it at all. So they didn't speed up the film with undercranking. They didn't hide the hits with clever editing. When Jaa's shin connects with someone's leg, you hear it crack. When his elbow cuts someone's forehead, you see the blood spray. The underground fight sequence, where Jaa faces opponents in different martial arts styles, became an instant masterclass in Muay Thai's brutal effectiveness. Against a Western boxer, he uses clinch control to nullify the jab. Against a wrestler, he uses knee strikes to prevent takedowns. Against a capoeira fighter, he waits patiently for the flashy spin and times a devastating elbow counter that ends it instantly. It's not flashy. It's tactical, calculated, efficient. And real fighters recognized it immediately. This is how you actually use Muay Thai in combat. This is what works when everything's on the line. Prakya didn't use stunt doubles for the dangerous sequences. He didn't use CGI to enhance the impacts. He just put a camera on Tony Jaa and let him work, capturing raw athleticism and genuine technique. Jaa broke bones during filming, tore ligaments, dislocated joints, pushed his body past limits. Most actors wouldn't dare approach, even with insurance and safety crews standing by. And the result is a film where every hit feels sickeningly real. Because it was real. Ong Bak didn't just introduce the world to Tony Jaa's supernatural athleticism. It introduced them to the brutal reality of Muay Thai, raw, unforgiving, and devastatingly effective in ways Hollywood had never shown. No wires needed when you can actually fly through dedication and pain. Number 9. Fearless was supposed to be Jet Li's retirement from martial arts films, and he wanted to go out telling the truth. For 2 decades, Lee had performed impossible feats, wire-assisted fantasies that made him a superstar. But Fearless was different. It was based on the real story of Huo Yuanjia, the legendary Chinese martial artist who founded the Jingwu Athletic Association. Lee didn't want to glorify violence. He wanted to show its cost. So he insisted the fight choreography reflect real consequences. When his character kills a man early in the film, it's not heroic, it's tragic. The fight is fast, brutal, and over in seconds. No dramatic showdown, just two men, one moment, one death. Real martial artists point to this as the most honest depiction of what fighting actually does. It destroys. The film's centerpiece, a series of challenge matches where Huo faces fighters from different countries, showcases real martial arts philosophy. Against a European strongman, Huo uses speed and technique to overcome raw power. Against a Japanese katana master, he uses a three-section staff, an unpredictable weapon that requires immense skill. Every fight is different because every opponent has a different strength. And Huo doesn't win by being invincible. He wins by adapting. Lee trained for 8 months to prepare, studying not just the techniques, but the philosophy behind them. He wanted to show that martial arts isn't about domination. It's about discipline, respect, understanding yourself. The final fight against a Japanese fighter ends not with a knockout, but with mutual respect. Both warriors recognize the other's skill. Both bow, and real martial artists love this because it's the truth that action movies usually ignore. The goal of training isn't to hurt people, it's to not have to. Fearless showed that, and Lee walked away from the genre at his peak, having said everything he needed to say. Number 10. When Master Z, Ip Man Legacy came out, most people expected another Wing Chun showcase. Another tight, controlled, centerline-focused display of the style that made Ip Man famous. What they got was something completely different. Chung Tin Chi, played by Max Zhang, doesn't fight like Ip Man. He doesn't fight like any Wing Chun practitioner you've ever seen. He fights like someone who trained in Wing Chun for years, mastered it, then abandoned it entirely, then rebuilt his own hybrid system from the ground up through pain and survival. And that's what makes it brilliant. Zhang trained in Wushu since childhood, competing at national levels, understanding movement and body mechanics at an elite level. And when legendary director Yuan Wuping cast him, he gave Zhang one clear direction. I don't want you to copy Donnie Yen. I don't want Wing Chun perfection. I want you to show what happens when a master loses complete faith in his system and starts over from scratch. The result is a fighting style that blends Wing Chun's structural efficiency with street fighting brutality, mixing the elegant with the desperate. Real martial artists love this film because it's brutally honest about evolution. No style is complete. No system has all the answers. Every fighter adapts or dies. In the film's standout sequence, Zhang faces off against a knife-wielding opponent in a cramped, dirty alleyway with nowhere to run. He doesn't use traditional Wing Chun forms. He can't. He improvises frantically, grabs a plank of wood as a makeshift weapon, uses the narrow walls, uses trash cans. Fights dirty, desperate, survival mode activated. Because when someone has a knife and murder in their eyes, technique only gets you so far before raw survival instinct has to take over. Wu Ping choreographed this single fight over 3 intense weeks, consulting extensively with street fighting experts, knife defense instructors, and traditional Wing Chun masters. He wanted to show the terrifying gap between clean dojo training and real violence where nothing is fair, and Zhang committed fully to the vision. He learned knife defense from military consultants, trained in environmental combat, studied footage of how real people move when they're genuinely terrified and fighting for their lives. The film didn't match Ip Man's massive box office numbers, but it earned something far more valuable: genuine respect from practitioners who appreciated the raw honesty. Because Master Z didn't pretend to have all the answers neatly wrapped up, it showed a fighter figuring it out in real time, adapting, surviving, evolving. And that messy, imperfect truth is more authentic than any perfect technique demonstration could ever be. Number 11. Killzone changed Hong Kong action cinema overnight. Before this, Donnie Yen was known for flashy, acrobatic fights, wire work, spinning kicks, theatrical combat. Then director Wilson Yip told him, "I want MMA. I want it real." So Yen brought in mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, everything. And in the film's final alley fight against Sammo Hung, they threw out the script completely. Yip gathered them both, looked them dead in the eye, and said, "Fight like you actually hate each other." No choreography, just react. What followed was 8 minutes of the most brutal, grounded combat ever filmed in a kung fu movie. Yen uses low kicks, takedown attempts, ground strikes. Hung counters with grappling, throws, raw power generated from decades of real training. They're not performing for the camera. They're fighting, actually fighting. Real martial artists, especially MMA fighters, point to this sequence as proof that traditional martial arts can work in modern combat. Because Yen wasn't doing forms, he was applying principles in real time. Wing Chun trapping flowing into Thai, clinch transitioning into wrestling sprawl. It was true hybrid fighting decades before hybrid became mainstream, before the UFC made it standard. They filmed the entire fight in one brutal night. Minimal cuts, maximum contact, real consequences. The crew watched in silence as two legends tested each other. Both actors left bruised, bloodied, exhausted, barely able to walk to their trailers. Yen later admitted it was the hardest fight scene he'd ever filmed in a 30-year career. Not because of the stunts or the danger, because of the truth. No wires to save you when you're falling. No undercranking to make you look faster than you are. No editing tricks to hide the gaps. Just two legitimate martial artists, both in their 50s, testing each other for real, pushing past limits. The film sparked a revolution in Hong Kong action overnight. After Killzone, wire work declined sharply. Grounded combat became the new standard across the industry. And Donnie Yen became the guy who proved Kung Fu could hang with MMA, that traditional martial arts weren't obsolete in the modern era. All because he and Sammo Hung decided to stop acting and start fighting. Truth over spectacle, reality over fantasy, pain over perfection. Number 12. The Grandmaster is the most beautiful Kung Fu film ever made. It's also the most accurate. Wong Kar-wai didn't just want to make an Ip Man biopic. He wanted to capture the soul of Chinese martial arts in the 1930s and 40 seconds. The philosophy, the politics, the schools, the rivalries. So he did something insane. He trained his actors for 3 years before filming a single frame. Tony Leung, playing Ip Man, studied Wing Chun under Ip Chun himself. Zhang Ziyi trained in Baguazhang, an internal martial art known for circular footwork and palm strikes. They didn't just learn the movements, they learned the theory, why each step matters, why each strike exists. And when the camera finally rolled, Wong didn't choreograph Hollywood fights. He filmed martial arts as meditation, as conversation, as art. The opening fight in the rain, where Leung faces multiple opponents, is shot like a dance, but every move is grounded in Wing Chun principles. The way he deflects, redirects, controls centerline, it's textbook. Real Wing Chun masters watch it and nod because it's correct. But the film's masterpiece is Zhang Ziyi's fight on a train platform, using Baguazhang against a group of thugs. Baguazhang is notoriously difficult to film because its power comes from subtlety, weight shifts, spiral energy, things cameras don't capture easily. Wong shot it in slow motion, let the technique breathe, let audiences see the mechanics. And martial artists finally understood why Baguazhang is considered one of the highest levels of Kung Fu. It's not about force, it's about being untouchable. The Grandmaster won dozens of awards, not for the action, but for the artistry. Because Wong Kar-wai proved Kung Fu isn't just fighting. It's culture, history, philosophy made physical. And when you respect that, when you take 3 years to get it right, the result isn't just authentic, it's transcendent. Most people don't know this, but Jackie Chan once challenged a Kung Fu movie to a real fight. Hong Kong film critic wrote a scathing review of Chan's work, saying his fights looked fake, that real martial artists would destroy him. Chan, furious, showed up at the newspaper office and said, "Pick any fighter you want. I'll fight them right now. Film it, put it in your paper." The critic backed down. But the story spread, and it became legend in Hong Kong cinema. Chan didn't need to prove himself. He'd been training since age 7, had broken nearly every bone in his body, performing stunts, had nothing left to prove. But he understood something crucial. Authenticity isn't just about technique. It's about commitment. It's about putting your body on the line. And every Kung Fu movie on this list, from Ip Man to The Raid to Drunken Master, they all share that commitment. Real fighters, real consequences, real respect for the art. Because when martial artists watch a movie, they're not looking for perfection, they're looking for honesty. And these 12 films, they delivered. These movies didn't just entertain, they educated. They showed the world that Kung Fu isn't wire work and camera tricks. It's discipline, pain, years of training, and respect for those who came before. Real martial artists don't watch these films to relax. They watch to learn, to remember why they started training in the first place. So, if you love discovering what real combat looks like on screen, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us which fight scene you're rewatching tonight. Because in a world full of CGI and impossible stunts, these 12 films kept it real, and that's why they'll never be forgotten.